everyone. Welcome to a special mini-series on the Anoki Uncensored show, which we are calling Living Well, where we will be doing something a little different from time to time. As you know, I'm your host, Girn, the founder of the umbrella brand Anoki, which also, has been diligently serving the South Asian diaspora with content and events for over 20 years. This special mini-series, Living Well, is being introduced to better serve our global community here. That's you, with meaningful conversations with thought leaders and experts across many lifestyle topics and cultural perspectives, so you are better informed and better resourced to better make decisions to uplift the quality of your life and of those that you love. We are kicking this off today with clinical psychologist, author, and TEDx speaker, Dr. Monica Vermani, as we travel through some of her recent milestones that I feel are wonderful ways in which you can incorporate living well. Dr. Vermani is one of Canada's highest rated clinical psychologists and an advocate in the field of mental health and wellness. She is a regular contributor to Psychology Today and Anoki magazine and has shared her expertise in a wide variety of media outlets, including Forbes, Oprah Daily, CNN, The Globe and Mail, and the list just goes on and on and on. Welcome to the inaugural show of our new mini-series, Living Well, Dr. Monica Vermani. What a pleasure, and thank you for coming back on.
Thank you so much, Raj, for having me. And it's been a wonderful journey being with you for so many years. And
since the beginning.
Since the beginning. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's begin, Monica, by sharing with everyone watching, listening, and reading this, what your inspiration was for writing your debut book for the public, A Deeper Wellness. Why write this book?
Well, there are so many barriers to treatment. And during the pandemic as well, I noticed a lot of people were struggling to reach resources or seek help. And so, I have a lot of patients do want more services or want more sessions. And there's only so much time and energy. And many times we have to work and we have other responsibilities. So due to these barriers to treatment, I decided to write the book as an accompanying self-help manual that helps people dive into their issues. I, day in and day out, do work with patients with mood, anxiety, stress, and trauma, and I'm helping people wherever they're at go deeper and work within understanding their symptoms, understanding why they're getting more intense, why they're having certain patterns repeat over and over that are causing them dysfunction in life. We all have symptoms, but when our symptoms hold us back from living life in a good quality of life that we're happy with, we need to address them. And so noticing how many people were struggling to reach resources during that difficult time in our life, that book was my way of giving back to society for people who can't afford time or expense of therapy to at least dive in and go deeper to understand symptoms and the tools and the nuggets of gold that I give people in my sessions. I give them in this book. Wherever you're at, whatever age bracket, you will find this book applies to you. And it's a workbook, so you can go through it over and over. But what you'll find is it's practical knowledge, understanding symptoms, psychoeducation, but treatment tools. I give you actionable steps to work through issues so you can have a better quality of life.
So when you say we need to go deeper in order to heal, Monica, what does this mean and how can one accomplish this?
Many times we get inspired by listening to speakers or reading self-help books. But the one thing I find that is missing for most of us is actionable steps to really get us to change. And so, the first step to awareness is the first step to treatment is awareness. And once we have that awareness, the next thing is bringing actionable steps to change. Many times we're overwhelmed by our symptoms. All problems manifest in your body in physical symptoms, negative thoughts, and negative behaviors. All of that you're living with every day. So it's important to sometimes break it down, see it, have awareness, and then go, okay, one by one, let me take baby steps of actionable steps to really start manifesting change. And so we get overwhelmed. We're creatures of habit. We stay stuck in patterns. This book is about slowing down, seeing your stuff, going deeper, and then bringing actionable change. And that change is, I think, what is valuable about this book and what many people are complimenting me on.
Can we talk a little bit about some of the things that people are saying about the book, Monica?
Yes. So, I've had friends and family give me open, honest feedback, but also patients. Like, it's been wonderful to see patients who've been seeing me buy the book. I've had couples. I had a friend get married, and him and his wife did the book together. They did chapter by chapter, and they both did their exercises and shared it, which I never even thought about. But I've had wonderful feedback about how I wish I had this book when I was younger. It would have given me perspective on where to go in life. I've had youth that is struggling with guilt, shame, or blame, or body image issues, read the book and start working on a deeper wellness of empowering themselves. I've had a lot of beautiful feedback about how they've learned to take charge of their thoughts and understand a little bit deeper about triggers and how people don't always cause our suffering. Sometimes it's the way we interpret things, the way we manage thoughts, and the way we deal with day to day. And sometimes we do give up our power. This book, one of the best compliments I got was, I regained my personal power reading this book. Thank you for that tool, because it's allowed me to work through guilt, shame. It's allowed me to work through traumas. I've had people at different levels, first responders, even look at this book as a tool for self-care. And that's actually what my valuable gift to the world was with this book. It's about helping people go deeper so that you can live your highest and best version of your life. And we all are worthy and deserving. Sometimes we just hold ourselves back by getting stuck on that hamster on the wheel rat race of a life, get so caught up with responsibility, becoming what people want us to be versus what we want to be for ourselves. It's a book that has nuggets of knowledge, but I give you knowledge, I give you awareness, I give you tools, and I also give you actionable steps that you can start taking forward, and you can go through the book over and over and find new bits of knowledge. I always love a movie that you can watch over and over and get new pieces. So I wanted this book to be the same way.
And it truly is. I have a copy of this book, guys, and I have to tell you that it's kind of like a holy book. Every time you pick it up and you read, a certain line that you've read like a million times before, there's something new that kind of comes to you because maybe you're in a different phase of life. So I do feel it's one of those books, from my experience of having gone through the book as well, Monica, I want to share this with you, is that at different phases of my mood, or maybe challenges I'm going through, or maybe I'm feeling very successful at some point, very accomplished, I read the same exercise or the same aspect from your book, and I find something new. It really does work exactly the way that you say. But I want to also add something else, because, here we are. There's an additional layer when you're from a strong culture. There's an additional layer when you are a woman, or you are identify with a minority identity, right? So if you look at that, how can people in those communities use this book to maximize on the exercises of a deeper wellness? Is there something else that you want to add there, or do you feel that it doesn't really matter who you are or where you're at? You'll find your way through journeying through the book. Your thoughts?
I find we all have different impacts. There's nature and nurture both impacting us that cause us to have the symptoms we have. And, it's interesting you're talking about immigrants. I do speak to a lot of people that deal with acculturation and deal with the blending of cultures, of trying to adapt to a new world while being raised by parents that gave us a blueprint and a narrative of an old world, or a world that they thought it was. Because sometimes I listen to my parents, I'm like, that's not the country that's happening right now. That's the country that you have in your head. So many times we have these narratives of how we need to be or who we need to be successful, a good partner, a good parent, a good family member. And so, it's not about where you're at or who you are. I think it's about awareness. We need to understand the awareness and the impact that 0 to 10, you're not born in that world out there. You're born in a household. And when you're born in a household, you first form your blueprints, your ideas, your beliefs, your value systems from your parents and your upbringing. Whether there's dysfunction there's, scarcity, there's poverty, there's abuse, whether there's a good, family foundation, we still take away values, morals, values about who we need to be successful, to be good, to be, a valuable member to society. And many times we start learning how to be what people expect us to be versus our true selves. This book is about wherever you're at, to have awareness of the impacts that are taking you away from living your authentic true self. Many of us struggle with this battlefield within us between our true self and what we really want to do and what people want us to do, or people think we should do, or people guide us to be successful a certain way. If I listened to people and their guidance, I wouldn't be your psychologist today for many people, because I think my parents were worried about what a long journey of schooling, and you're working in prison settings and you're working in settings that can cause you harm. They mean it with a good intent, but it doesn't mean those blueprints and thoughts don't make you doubt yourself. Right. We all have self-doubt. Make our faith bigger than our fear. That quote really, for me, means make your belief system in yourself stronger than your fears and self-doubt. But where does self-doubt come from? This book is about you understanding narratives, blueprints, cultural upbringings, clashes, partners' expectations, children's expectations, your own expectations, how they manifest in your life through symptoms. And as the symptoms get louder and louder, you feel conflicted. What life am I living? Who am I living for? A lot of people question existential questions then. What's the bigger picture? Why am I suffering so much? But our suffering is a catalyst for change. This book is about wherever you're suffering, whether it's small things that you want to fine tune or bigger crises you want to work through, process it, understand it, because holding things back or pushing them aside just make them bubble to the surface, and we get triggered by day-to-day events. Stop the triggers, take charge of your life, take charge of your personal power, and realize, regardless if it's a genetics or it's nurturing and the influences that teach us how to be who we think we need to be, let's work through those layers and try to be our authentic self and just try to live happier.
Amen to that, Monica. Where can people go pick up this book? Because that people are going to want to after all of that.
It's on Amazon. You can also go to my website, drmonicavermani.com, and it'll take you straight to the website of Amazon. You can purchase a book there too.
I love it. So, Monica, let's move on to sharing a bit about how people can work with you directly. You have a very busy practice in Toronto, and it's open to the public through referrals. Can we share what you treat there? I want to kind of get into that a little bit now.
So with my 25 years plus of experience, I specialize with mood, anxiety, and traumas. And so I've worked in correctional facilities. I've worked at Center for Addiction Mental Health, just anxiety disorders, Lake Ridge Mental Health Center with brain and spinal cord injury. So I'm known to be somebody who works with traumas that are, extreme symptomology, with mood and anxiety as well. And so mood and anxiety range in intensity. Many of us struggle with many different types of variations of it. You can have some social anxiety where you worry about what people think of you, generalized anxiety, chronic worry about real life concerns, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is traumas, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Regardless of what layer of anxiety or mood, depression, bipolar, dysthymia, which is long-term depression, you're struggling with, I am somebody who is able to treat that. And, again, our symptoms don't only cause us pain. When you're in pain, you spill over onto others. So our symptoms do affect the loved ones we are with. It models them differently. It sometimes impacts their health, or they take on some of the symptoms and they repeat them, whether it's mood and anxiety. So we want to kind of minimize our harm, not only to ourselves, but to others, workplaces, motivation, our partners, our children. So it's important for us to start taking charge of our symptoms wherever you're at. I give you tools to work on yourself, but as you heal, you also heal generations around you, whether it's workplaces or it's your family units or it's your grandchildren or your own children. So it's important for us to recognize the first step to treatment is awareness, understand my impact on myself, so that as I'm in a better state, I'm also better to others. And when I'm saying a better state, When you're in a good place, you have more patience, tolerance, you pause and reflect more. And when you're in a place of havoc on the inside and your symptoms are loud, you're more reactive. You're not responsive. And so it's important for us to realize some of the behaviors that we don't like in ourselves, that we're self-critical with, criticism, negative feedback, or angry outbursts, alcohol, drug use. Many times the things we don't like about ourselves, when we're in pain, we're spilling over onto others through those behaviors. But as we get into a place of health, where there's also a ripple effect of benefiting others, role model wise, but also your treatment. At the end of the day, how do you want to be remembered by the people who care about you around you? Are you living a life in accordance to that? This book is about a book, and the work I do individually is about helping you be the person you want to be versus feeling stuck in patterns or symptoms that keep you locked into doing things that you're not too proud of. We all have
Absolutely.
shame, blame, guilt. It's not about that. Therapy is also about compassion and love for yourself to correct and continue, and allow yourself to forgive others for what they've done in low self-esteem and pain, and forgive yourself for what you've internalized or felt stuck with, thinking I can't get better, I don't feel worthy and deserving of better.
So much to think about with everything that you just said there, Monica. I want to also, share a little bit with everyone that you also do corporate wellness workshops, and you do talks on the organizational and the corporate level as well. Can you elaborate a bit about this? Because I feel this is another way that people who don't get to work with you one-on-one can have the opportunity to not only get some of this, glean some of this from you, but to also share it amongst their peers and their work groups. Can you share a little bit about these workshops, these talks that you can do on the corporate level, and also some of the topics? I think that's also something that people should know about.
So corporate wellness actually came through my patients. So, I do get a lot of different referrals, lawyers, doctors, hospitals I've worked at, and word of mouth. And so, as a full practice, I'm quite blessed to have great people doing better, whether they came for short-term treatment or stayed along with me for years for coaching. And these patients oftentimes would speak about their successes at their workplaces. So I've had different workplaces come up to me and say, can you do corporate wellness? We want our workplace to be healthier. And, during the pandemic was one thing, but prior to the pandemic, many proactive companies were hiring people like psychologists to come on board and teach just corporate wellness about mood and anxiety management, stress management, how to have healthy communication, be respectful of each other's boundaries, learn how to ask for things without feeling guilty or shame or feeling stupid. And so what's been really good is I've had a lot of companies come through patients of mine, and now then I've decided to embark on opening a corporate wellness stream. And many of my clients have been companies who hire me for, year-long contracts where I come in once a month to do corporate wellness talks. And then I also offer something called individual office hours, where the company pays for it, so it doesn't go through your benefits.
Yeah.
But the company gives you mini sessions, whether it's a half an hour or an hour, where you get to talk to a doctor who does this for a living every day. I give you resources, I give you guidance, I kind of help you understand where your symptoms are at and maybe the next steps forward, and also how to use your benefits package. Many people have wonderful EAP or benefits packages that their employers offer them. They just don't know what to ask for. And when you talk to me about symptoms, I can help you categorize, okay, maybe a marital counselor is best for you. Maybe you need a psychologist. Maybe you need an ADD, attention deficit disorder coach. Let's look at maybe medication and talking to our family doctor because your symptoms are so loud. We just want to lower them so you function better. A sleep clinic, sleep disorder, oftentimes can do a sleep study that helps you understand what's your sleep problems about. So, it's nice to have somebody who works with us every day, have a lot of answers to guide you, which sometimes our human resources department don't have the answers because they're not qualified in those areas.
Right. So,
corporate-wise, you can always reach out. But corporate-wise, many companies want to retain good talent, and retaining good talent is providing them with health. 1/3 of our day is spent at work. And so it's important for us to make sure we're healthy for it. As employers make their employees healthy at home, they're also going to be healthy at work.
Where can we send people who may want to hire you for a workshop, a talk, any of the above?
Go
Talk
to
to
my
us a little
website.
bit.
Go
Yeah.
to my website, drmonicavermani.com, and there's forms there for you to just complete and reach out. Send me a message on LinkedIn, send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I'll also respond to those and then give you the appropriate information and package information. After this talk, I'm doing a corporate wellness talk on stress management as we're going back into that season of back to school and seasonal affective disorder. And a lot of people are just like, oh my God, I'm holding on to my summer. But the truth is, change comes anxiety, and change comes, feeling overwhelmed. And we've had a lot of changes in our world in the last few years. It's important for us to reflect on how to be healthy beings as we transition through change.
Absolutely.
And workplaces have changed. So that's the other big one. We want workplaces to be healthier as people are struggling with adjusting or trying to find a way to understand their symptoms.
Absolutely. So much information, guys. I want to take a moment, actually, just before we continue on, Monica, to send people to your ecosystem. Okay. You have a website, you have a newsletter, you have socials. Can we share all of that before we continue?
Yes, we can. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Dr. Monica Vermani. My website is drmonicavermani.com. And you can always reach out on any of these avenues through a message or emails. As I mentioned, I think if you even just Google my name, Dr. Monica Vermani, you should be able to find all these platforms. When you go onto my website, you can sign up your email and you will receive a monthly newsletter, as well as just updates on what I've been doing in the media. I write for Psychology Today every 2 weeks. So there's always a nice article on that. I write for Inoki, and there's articles on that every week from a column. And so it's beautiful. There's lots of information out there. On my website, there's a podcast section that I have 3 years of articles that I wrote during the pandemic to help people manifest healthier changes by understanding their symptoms that they were going through related to anxiety and stress. So there's articles there. I've recorded meditations. I've also read the article for people with chronic pain, so they can just listen to the article instead of having to put pressure on themselves to read it. And starting the new year, I will have a podcast where I'll also be sharing tidbits of knowledge and bringing on speakers that are experts in different areas to just talk about, mood, anxiety, stress, and trauma, and how to be healthier versions of us. That's all of our goals, right? We want a simpler, smoother, happier life. Many times we just don't understand how our symptoms are impacting us. And the first step to treatment is awareness. As we talk and we share, we have awareness of where to reach out for help. And we also have awareness to understand when our symptoms go from just a little bit of uncomfortable to a problem in our life and is holding us back.
So you just mentioned the podcast. Would it be a good idea for people to sign up for your free monthly newsletter for when that actually debuts next year? 100%. Would that be a good idea?
My newsletter that goes out once a month is also something that highlights all the media that I had done for the month, as well as hot things going on. And right now it's the TED Talk, but there's also an article that I wrote on gaslighting that was featured on CNN that was out this week. So you'll get to be on top of what I've been writing about, but more than that, hot topics that are out in the media that maybe you'd be interested in, as well as, healthy topics that I'm doing either corporately or individually with patients that I feel are good nuggets of knowledge for you to learn from.
Brilliant. And you just mentioned your TEDx talk. It's called Think About It. It just got released on the TEDx YouTube channel, where at the time of this recording, actually, I took a look. It had over 250,000 views, literally within, what has it been, a couple of weeks?
Yes, I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful. It was funny because I didn't get the news right away myself. And I had a patient be like, did you know your TED Talks were released? And I also had my office manager be like, it's released. And we're all talking about it. And this week I'm promoting it myself. But it's been a blessing to just see organically how it's just growing out there and people are seeing it.
So can we talk about it? Can we
Yeah.
talk about the subject matter? What a provocative title. Guys,
Yeah.
you heard it. Think about it. Talk to us a little bit about the subject matter of the talk. And then I absolutely encourage everyone to go listen to it. I was there, guys, when Monica was doing this live. I was so taken aback. Like, I already know the genius of Monica because, like, we mentioned off the top, she's been a part of the Anoki world since the very beginning, when she used to write a relationship column for many, many years in the print version of the magazine. And, I was so happily shocked at how magnificent and thoughtful and insightful and knowledge driven the entire talk was. So I need you guys to go over and go check it out. Monica, are you going to also be having it feed through to your website at all? You're going to have it there to make it easier for people to find it?
It should be. It's being worked on right now. So we're doing it
Perfect.
as a team. I've been quite busy doing a wonderful things, but the talk
Yes.
is called Think About It. Thoughts are powerful things. Each and every one of us know that, because when we get stuck ruminating on a thought all day long, it does impact our mood and our physical symptoms, and sometimes the behaviors we do: alcohol, drugs, comfort foods, avoidance, denial, procrastination. But it all starts with a thought. And anything that's ever been created in this world started with a thought.
Yeah.
And so we need to realize how powerful our thoughts are. And when I was trying to pick the topic to do the TED Talk on, I really contemplated on what is the one thing I really would love to change in the world when I look at how many hundreds and thousands of patients I deal with through different settings, prisons, hospitals, palliative care. And the biggest thing is, thoughts are powerful things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the moment that came up with me, I wanted to make this talk about how important it is for us to pay attention to our thoughts. We get so busy at times that we push them aside, that we avoid them, we deny them, we suppress them. But thoughts create, love and unity. Thoughts create division and exclusivity. Thoughts create division between people. Thoughts create, anger, reactions, personalizing things. Thoughts are powerful things. And so this talk was about, again, when you are struggling in life, are you paying attention to your mindset? Mm-hmm. And each and every one of us can relate to this talk, regardless of the age bracket, regardless of the culture, regardless of the symptoms you're going through. Yes, don't get me wrong, when you have physical disability, chronic pain, and certain things, our thoughts are a lot more stuck in the negative. Mm-hmm. But many times about living here and now and looking at how can I make this reality, even if it's a painful one, better, is about our thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so it's important for us to recognize, I'm not promoting something where, it's easy, but I'm trying to bring awareness to say, pause and reflect for a moment. Mm-hmm. Think about your thoughts. Recognize how your thoughts make you feel isolated, lonely, judgment from others, feeling lost, confused, jealous, envious. We don't realize sometimes our thoughts make us feel alone, and your inner world creates your outer world. Mm-hmm. And so if on the inside, you're feeling like amazing, $1,000,000, you feel empowered, you feel great about yourself. When you walk in a room, you'll notice there's an energy where even if people are not noticing you, you feel like you own the room. But when you're feeling isolated, not good enough, not smart enough, not capable, when you walk into that same room, you'll notice everybody not noticing you, notice everybody not seeing you. Your inner world is creating to some degree what you're noticing on your outer world. And the opportunities you see or the opportunities you limit yourself by not taking. Mm-hmm. And so this talk is about think about it. Slowly understand, where do negative thoughts come from? And I go to our birth. I go to blueprints, understanding our parents, understanding, what we take on from them, what we take on from our socioeconomic status, what we take on from cultures, bullying experiences we've gone to. What have you personalized that you maybe need to reconceptualize, rewrite the narrative and the story to allow yourself to have a better life? Mm-hmm. So to me, It was a hard 20 minutes. I've had to edit it down a bit, but when it comes down to it, some of you in the audience in real thought it was a little bit longer, but thoughts are powerful things. And I've shared phenomenal stories from patients who've given me consent on how their lives have changed by just working on the quality of their thoughts wherever they're at, regardless of the pain or the suffering they're going through. It's important for us to recognize we all cross these crossroads at times of sometimes not believing in ourselves or not having the faith, and other times working through thoughts. And the thoughts that hold us back are negative ones, and we can't take charge of them.
So I'm curious, are thoughts more powerful than, say, an addiction or poor life choices, behaviors? Share that a little bit, because you know how, as humans, we're very attached to the behaviors rather than the thoughts. And you're bringing us back to the fact that everything starts with a thought. But people are oftentimes stuck in the behavior stuff, the addiction, the harmful habits, the poor life choices. Can you comment on that?
So this goes back to symptoms, right? Like physiologically, when our symptoms are loud, we sometimes feel like our symptoms or our addictions, which is, again, a manifestation of a physical symptom and a craving, right? We have to understand that many times when our symptoms physiologically are that loud, we do feel like there's no thoughts. We feel like it's something else that's taking charge of our body. But whether it's a conscious or unconscious thought, everything starts with a thought at some point. A thought to use, a thought to refrain, a thought to give into a bad choice, a thought of feeling lonely and lost where you say, okay, I'm just going to do this one more time. Comfort food, gambling, shopping addictions. That there's a subtle thought, and sometimes it's unconscious. So don't get me wrong. I do EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. I help you go into your own memories to help you understand and recognize where the thought even began. So when I work with this on a day-to-day basis, I see people go back to their first memories of where they saw addiction might, take the edge off something. And then they get stuck with it on a physiological level, on a genetic or biological level. It's important for us to understand that our thoughts are powerful. Even when we talk to certain people who overcome traumas and overcome habits and addictions, many of them will talk about willpower and the thoughts that they reinforce in order to not go back. So conscious or unconscious, our thoughts are powerful things.
Yeah.
And, many times, even on a fight, flight, or freeze mode, there's always a thought there. And until we don't register something, we don't act on it, and there's an example I give in group therapy of like, you could be cutting vegetables and slice your finger a bit, and until you sometimes don't register and see it, you don't manifest everything in your body. And so that's also a good example of sometimes, until your mind doesn't register something, your orgasm and your pain, everything from your body comes from your brain, and then everything else comes into play. So it is important for us to recognize how powerful, the intermix of everything comes together. Our genetics can be a reason why it feels so sticky and hard, but there's so many people who overcome things. What are they overcoming them with, right? Sometimes we need medication to balance things, but sometimes we need to understand cognitive behavioral therapy, the thoughts and the behaviors that we reinforce that keep those genetic behaviors in a place of problematic, maladaptive, unhealthy habits, right? And what makes us healthier, many of us, it's about, I'm done with this bad habit, I'm going to do it now. Whether it's a diet, whether it's waking up early, whether it's going to work, whether it's trying to get a job, it's us sometimes getting our mindset. What's the mindset about? A thought again. You override your physical symptoms to go to work in the morning. You override your physical symptoms to sometimes manage pain for your daughter's wedding. I just had a patient do that a few weeks ago. He was like, I meditated, I did my affirmations, and I was like, regardless of my pain, I'm going to walk her down that aisle. And he did.
Wow.
And so we all reinforce certain thoughts to give us the willpower to sometimes do things or counteract bad behaviors like addictions that we've maybe reinforced when we know that there's a healthier way to live, right?
So let me ask you this. Beyond shining a light on why our thoughts are so powerful and how they impact our behaviors and our physical well-being, because this is what I'm hearing you say, are you able to provide viewers, listeners, people who are reading this on the blog with any advice on how to clean up the negative thoughts and self-limiting beliefs that are constantly at play, that we are all challenged with in one way or other?
Thoughts are powerful things. The first step to treatment is awareness. I'm going to say pause and reflect. We don't give ourselves time to be aware of what's really going on in our body, in our mind, and in our day-to-day life. The first thing I do with any patient that comes into my office is I show them a table with 3 legs. And I'm like, let's talk about the problems you have and put it on this table. How does it manifest in your life physiologically, physical symptoms that bother you? Overeating, undereating, sleeping issues, fatigue, digestive issues, what's going on in your body? And how does it manifest through the thoughts? What are the thoughts that you ruminate and think about over and over that really bog you down, make you sad, make you emotional, make you feel hopeless and worthless or not deserving or unworthy or guilty? And then what are the behaviors you do to just take the edge off, whether it's alcohol, drugs, avoidance, denial, procrastination, staying in bad relationships, not standing up for yourself, people pleasing, putting others ahead of yourself? Understand yourself, which takes time. And then once you understand yourself, you can work on understanding actionable steps to get yourself out of a place of where you are to where you would like to be. The other exercise I always give, if I had a magic wand, I can take away your problems. Where would you like life to be? Take yourself from where you are to where you would like to be. The gap are your symptoms. And one of the most impactful symptom that we have is our thoughts. Conscious or unconscious, your thoughts, positive or negative, shape your life every minute of every day. In the morning when you don't want to get out of bed, it is a thought that says, okay, enough. You can't keep hitting snooze. Get up. Realize that you are constantly thinking and constantly motivating yourself or saying, I'm not going to bother with this today, and push things aside.
Right.
Everything starts with a thought, and it's important for us to start recognizing by taking time for ourselves. We make everything about everybody else, our children, our work, our money, our homes, that sometimes we just don't make time for us. And if you don't work on you, there will be a ripple effect. When you're in pain, you spill over onto others. And when you're in health, there's also a ripple effect of health. Let's take charge now. It's a time many people struggled a lot with the last few years. And it's important for us right now to pause and reflect of what are the impacts from that time? What are the insights from that time? And health is not just reading and listening to things that are inspiring us. We need actionable steps. My book, articles I've written always have actionable steps. It is important for us to put into play not only what we know, but how to actionably step ourselves out of a place that we're not happy with.
And it all starts with, think about it. Go check out Monica's TEDx talk. Guys, you will thank me. Trust me, as I mentioned a little earlier, I was there. And you think you know, but you don't. I want you guys to go check it out. I really encourage you to share it with everyone in your life that's important to you. And I want to also, off the, back of that, Monica, you've also, because you do not sleep, clearly, you've created a masterclass to kind of be an adjunct to the TEDx talk. You're getting ready to launch that soon. A couple of things I want to ask you about it. First of all, when can we expect it? And what can we expect from it?
So when I wrote, think about it, thoughts are powerful things, the TEDx talk, it was like so much information. And then I had to bring it down to 20 minutes-ish. And that was hard work. But I realized, I'm going to give the nuggets of knowledge and I'm going to give the inspiration. And then I'm going to, for people who want to understand how to take more actionable steps on how to reframe negative thoughts to more positive ones, how to really start working on things within themselves to understand the influences as well as, the impacts of those thoughts, and then how to clean them up. Give them
Mhm.
actionable steps. The masterclass is that. It's an actionable step way for you to understand deeper that talk of think about it. And it's a beautiful class. I've just finished recording it. It's being edited right now, and we're hoping to launch it in the fall, in
Mhm.
October-ish.
Mhm.
So it will be a beautiful master class on lessons that you will have little chapters on how to understand thoughts with actionable step exercises and a workbook that you'll be able to just work through, even if and it's snippets. They're not hard exercises. I know everybody is time pressed. I'm not the only one. And so I always hear everybody tell me how busy they are, but taking, a short amount of time to inspire yourself to work on something, you'll just feel better after. And what I find is many times when I give patients homework here, even if they didn't do it when they come into session, we do it together, they always feel better. You'll find doing the exercises I give are not only liberating but insightful, and also helping you bring the change that you want to see in your life. So this
Mhm.
master class will be a piggyback off of the TED Talk, and will be a larger volume of knowledge, lots of wonderful content, but actionable steps from each chapter that build on each other to help you learn how to take charge of your negative thoughts, how to remove some of that pessimism or some of the things that we've learned from modeled behavior from our parents or people around us of being critical, being judgmental, being hard on ourselves or hard on others. And so it's important for us to recognize what are the thoughts that are isolating me, dividing me from others, not making me feel good enough, worthy and deserving of better, not, being the highest, best version of me. We got to live with ourselves. It's important for us to take care of us. The master class is about you mastering your own life.
I love that. And I want to ask you, is there like a pre-launch sign-up page or anything like that we can send people to?
It's coming out soon. I will have that ready on my website in the next few weeks. We've just
Okay.
finished recording the master class, and with the TED Talk out, it's all coming together. And so if you sign up to my newsletter, you will definitely get updates on the master class and when you can pre-sign up for it.
So that's where we're sending everyone. Guys, go to drmonicavermani.com and go sign up for the free monthly newsletter as soon as it's available to sign up for, and anything else that's happening in Dr. Monica Vermani's amazing ecosystem of service, because that's what I'm hearing. That's the big takeaway for me. This hour that we've spent together, Monica, has been about nothing but you serving. You absolutely serving on multiple levels, on a higher level. You are truly ordained. This is your destiny. And I'm so pleased and honored that we get a nugget of that. Thank you so much for being on. Before I let you go, I want to ask you something. I want to leave people with something. I want you to share, before we close off, what you feel people need to understand about mental health, because still people don't take it seriously. And it is truly the chronic pandemic of our times. There's a misconception still about mental health. Would you like to set them straight? Would you like to share something that people can take away as kind of the final thought that will encourage them to finally do the thing, which is to think about it?
We're all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable to being impacted by mental health issues that are significant and can hold us back from living our life the way we want. It is important for each and every one of us to recognize that it's a fine line between the symptoms that we sometimes take for granted, how they can get into such a troublesome and problematic place that they not only cause the person problem, but they cause everybody around them distress. It's important for each and every one of us to have compassion for people who are going through mental health issues, that their symptoms are loud, intense, and they don't feel in control of themselves. And it's important for us to recognize and have compassion for ourselves, that we take ourselves for granted so much that sometimes we ignore our mental health concerns. We ignore the sadness and take it as a bad day. And sometimes we don't realize when it's all day, every day for straight 2 weeks, it's actually depression. and understanding mood fluctuations, understanding anxiety that makes us limit ourselves and limit others, or angry outbursts that sometimes we go through with one another. This is all sometimes mood, anxiety, and trauma impacts. We all have layers of our own symptoms. Pause and reflect, but start recognizing it's an individual journey amongst a collective. You're not alone. Many times we feel alone with mental health issues. You're not alone. Speak about it and you'll feel, included in a world that also relates to your symptoms. The one thing I'm loving about our world today, we're talking about things, but we need to have more compassion today. We need more compassion for ourselves to realize that sometimes we don't understand our own mental health and how it's causing others' health issues. And we also need to have compassion for others that we judge with mental health issues. It's not about judgment. Remove the judgment of yourself and judgment of others, and just be into a place of how do I make myself a better version of me? As you work on you, there will be a ripple effect of having a better world of compassion, love, and understanding for others. Mental health issues are real and they impact, and we're all vulnerable to it. That's the key. So don't give from your well, give from your overflow. That statement to me means don't take care of others while you're empty. You're just going to increase your mental health issues. Learn to take care of you first and foremost, in order to be good to all those things that you make time for, whether it's work, your family, your children, your parents. You are no good to them until you take care of you. And learning to love yourself is a skill that we have to learn. Self-esteem is a skill you have to learn. Learning to value yourself enough to see that you have concerns that you're not happy with, and then go out there and seek help. There are remarkable resources out there, and I'm blessed to be a part of that community. Ask people, talk to people. I love some of the professionals in my team that I refer to. They've never not answered a text message or a call from me. And I'm the same way. I try my best. There's only one of us, so we try our best, but understand there are so many resources online today. Technology has brought so much to us. Seek help. You're not alone. We're all in this together. As you share, you can also find the right resources. But realize when you're sharing with emotional vomit and you're just complaining and you're not doing something with actionable changes, people get exhausted. And people don't know how to help you when they're not professionals. You can't just use your friends and your family. You do need to sometimes seek professional help. We're all vulnerable. Take the opportunities that are around us for the resources to help you, because you deserve it.
Absolutely. Amen to that, Dr. Monica Vermani and her ecosystem of service to everyone on so many different levels. There is so much, guys, that she offers. I want you to just remember one thing, drmonicavermani.com. Everything that you need to know, everything that you need to get started on this journey, wherever you may be, is right there. Thank you so much, Monica, for coming on with your words of wisdom, with your insights, with your simple language, and with your permission to everyone to seek help to better themselves and to put themselves first. Bravo. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for listening. More than that, just you're worth it. You're worthy and deserving for a better life. Take charge and think about it.
Thank you so much. And I will see you next week, guys, on another great episode of the Anoki Uncensored Show. Stay connected with us at anokilife.com and our weekly newsletter. It's right there. You just click on the newsletter tab on the website. It's free, it's weekly, and of course, head on over to our socials. We have so much going on there. It's all about you. So please be a part of that world. And I'll see you next time. God bless.